Have you ever stumbled across a story online that seemed simple at first, then twisted into something you couldn't stop thinking about? That's exactly what happened with the Desirea Auten puppy mystery. What started as a heartwarming tale about a person and some adorable dogs quickly spiraled into questions, confusion, and a whole lot of internet speculation. Today, we're going to unpack this strange little saga together, separating fact from rumor and figuring out what actually got so weird so fast. Before we dive into the confusion, let's set the stage. The internet loves a good animal story, and puppies are basically guaranteed engagement. So when the name Desirea Auten started circulating alongside images of puppies, people naturally clicked, shared, and commented. But here's the thing about viral content. Details get lost, context disappears, and assumptions fill the gaps. That's the perfect recipe for a mystery, and it's precisely how this particular story began to take on a life of its own. From what we can piece together, the story first appeared on social media platforms where posts about animals spread like wildfire. Someone shared content connected to the name Desirea Auten, and the puppies featured immediately grabbed attention. The early posts seemed innocent enough, just cute dogs and a name. But as more people encountered the story without full context, they started asking questions. Who was this person? Where did the puppies come from? And why was everyone suddenly so curious about it? The first wave of curiosity is always the most innocent. People genuinely wanted to know more, which is completely natural. They searched the name, looked for additional posts, and tried to connect the dots. But here's where things get interesting from a media literacy standpoint. When information is scarce, our brains rush to fill the void with guesses. Those guesses become comments, the comments become shared assumptions, and suddenly a simple story has a dozen competing interpretations floating around online. This is the moment the story tipped from cute to confusing. Without verified facts, speculation took the wheel. Some people assumed the puppies were rescues, others guessed they were being sold, and a few invented dramatic backstories entirely. None of these claims came with solid evidence, yet they spread anyway. This is a classic example of how online narratives evolve. The story stops being about what actually happened and starts being about what people imagine happened, which are two very different things. There's something powerful about attaching a name to a story. The name Desirea Auten gave people a focal point, a character to build the narrative around. But names alone tell us almost nothing. Without verified context, a name can become a blank canvas onto which strangers project whatever theory they prefer. That's why responsible viewers should always pause and ask, what do I actually know here, versus what am I assuming based on a name and a handful of pictures? Let's talk about why puppies supercharge this whole thing. Animals trigger an emotional response that bypasses our skepticism. When we see a puppy, we feel warmth, protectiveness, and curiosity all at once. Algorithms know this, which is why animal content gets pushed to massive audiences. So a story that might have stayed small exploded simply because cute dogs were attached. The emotional hook made people care first and think later, which is exactly how mysteries snowball online. Here's where we hit the misinformation trap, something every internet user should understand. When a story spreads faster than facts can keep up, falsehoods naturally outpace the truth. Studies have repeatedly shown that surprising or emotional content travels further and faster than accurate corrections. So by the time anyone tried to clarify what was really going on with these puppies, the exaggerated versions had already reached far more people. The truth was playing catch-up from the very beginning. So let's actually examine the evidence, or rather the lack of it. When you trace the story back, you find surprisingly little verified information. Most of what circulated was screenshots, reposts, and commentary about other commentary. That's a major red flag. A genuinely documented story usually has a clear original source you can trace. When a story is mostly people reacting to reactions, you're often looking at a phenomenon built more on momentum than on substance or confirmed facts. The echo chamber effect played a huge role here. Once a particular version of the story gained traction, people kept repeating it, and repetition creates the illusion of truth. Psychologists call this the illusory truth effect. The more we hear something, the more believable it feels, even without evidence. So as the puppy mystery bounced around the same circles, each repetition made the unverified details feel more solid, more real, and more worthy of being shared again. Now let's do the important work of separating fact from fiction. The honest answer is that much of this story remains unconfirmed. We know a name and an animal theme circulated together, and we know the internet ran with it. What we don't have is reliable, verified documentation supporting the wilder claims. That gap between what's known and what's assumed is the entire heart of this mystery. And recognizing that gap is genuinely the most valuable takeaway here. It helps to understand how these stories form in general. Online mysteries often follow a predictable pattern. An ambiguous post appears, curiosity builds, speculation fills the gaps, and emotional content accelerates the spread. Eventually, the story becomes detached from any verifiable origin. The Desirea Auten puppy situation fits this template almost perfectly. By understanding the pattern, you can spot similar mysteries in the future and approach them with healthy curiosity rather than blind acceptance of whatever version reaches you first. We can't ignore the role of algorithms in all this. Recommendation systems don't care whether content is true. They care whether it keeps you watching and clicking. A confusing, emotional puppy mystery is algorithmic gold. The more people engaged with it, the more the platforms pushed it, creating a feedback loop. This is why something with thin factual foundations can dominate feeds for days. Understanding this helps you see that virality is not the same thing as importance or accuracy. So, what does this teach us beyond the specifics? It's a perfect case study in modern information literacy. The puppy mystery shows how quickly a story can grow without solid grounding, how emotion overrides skepticism, and how repetition manufactures belief. These lessons apply far beyond cute dogs. They apply to news, rumors, and viral claims of every kind. Learning to recognize these dynamics makes you a sharper, calmer, and more trustworthy consumer of everything you encounter online. Let's talk about becoming a smart viewer, because this is where the inspiration comes in. You have more power than you think. Before sharing a sensational story, you can pause and ask 3 simple questions. Where did this originate? Is there a verifiable source? And am I reacting to facts or feelings? Those 3 questions alone will protect you from most online traps. You don't need to be a journalist to think like one. Just curious and a little patient. Checking your sources sounds tedious, but it's surprisingly quick once it becomes a habit. Try to trace any claim back to its original post or document. If everyone is citing each other but nobody can point to a primary source, treat the story with caution. Reverse image searches can reveal where pictures actually came from. A few minutes of investigation often dissolves a so-called mystery entirely, revealing it was built on misunderstanding rather than malice or genuine intrigue. Let's not forget the human element here, because it matters. Behind every name in a viral story is potentially a real person. When the internet builds wild narratives around someone, it can cause genuine harm, stress, and confusion for actual human beings. That's why kindness and caution should walk hand in hand. Before piling onto a trending mystery, remember that real people may be affected. Treating others online the way you'd want to be treated is always the wiser path. Why do we love a mystery so much in the first place? Our brains are wired to seek patterns and resolve uncertainty. An unanswered question creates a little itch we desperately want to scratch. Mysteries hijack that instinct beautifully, which is why we keep clipping, searching, and theorizing. There's nothing wrong with that curiosity. It's a wonderful human trait. The key is channeling it toward truth-seeking rather than letting it pull us into endless speculation and rumor. So let's put it all together. The Desirea Auten puppy mystery got weird fast, not because of some dramatic conspiracy, but because of how online information naturally behaves. A name, some puppies, a lack of context, and powerful algorithms combined into a perfect storm of speculation. The real story isn't a shocking secret. The real story is a lesson about us, about how we process information, and about how easily curiosity can outrun the facts. If there's one thing I hope you take away today, it's this. Stay curious, but stay grounded. Mysteries are fun, but truth is better. The next time a strange story sweeps your feed, you'll know exactly what's happening behind the scenes, and you'll handle it with wisdom and calm. Thanks so much for watching and thinking critically with me. If you found this helpful, share it with someone who loves a good mystery, and keep questioning thoughtfully.